Hey there viewers, I wanted to make a quick video on how to test a transistor. This little guy right here, if you look real close on the front face of these, there's some numbers, and this particular one is a PNP BJT transistor. It's an S8550, and this figure right here shows our pinouts. Pin 1 is the emitter, then the middle one. Normally the middle one is on a BJT is almost always the base, and the outer two are either the emitters and the collectors. Now on a JFET, there are some JFETs that look exactly like these, and on a JFET it's not emitter, base, and collector. The base is equivalent to the gate. The emitter is equivalent to the source, and the collector is equivalent to the drain, which, if you think about the source and the drain, it's kind of backwards. You would think that the source is connected to voltage, the high side, but the source on a JFET is actually the low side, and the drain is actually the high side. But those pins are not always the same. On a JFET, some of them, the gate is the middle pin, but most of them that I've seen on the data sheets, the gate is on one of the pins on the outside. So you need to be careful with that. With this guy right here, this is a PNP, and I'll scan this and try to make clippings of this PNP, and I'll also put like what an MPN, how to test those, what the readings are. If we look here at our meter, now you don't have to have a fancy fluke to test. A BJT transistor is basically two diodes put together back to back, so there's three different materials inside of these. But you don't have to have a fancy fluke in order to have a diode setting to test diodes. If you look here at this Radio Shack, right here we have a diode tester on this, this cheapy multimeter. If we let's go ahead and turn this guy on, and when we turn it on, of course it's equivalent to what the white settings are. If we want to get to the yellow, we need to hold this button in for a few seconds. When it does the double beep, now we're in the diode testing mode, and it's kind of like similar to the continuity mode, it'll chime when we have a connection. So really, if you test one of these in circuit, really I don't really pay much attention. I'm trying to decipher whether it's an NPN or a PNP, because pretty much you're going to have a reading one way of 0.7, and the opposite way you're going to have out of limits. So if we sit here and we just test these leads, we have 0.7, and then if we turn that around, this little guy is being difficult. We should have out of limits this way. And then in between the base and the emitter, out of limits. Turn it around. We have 0.7. And between the emitter and the collector, we should have out of limits in both directions. Out of limits, and out of limits. Now on a JFET, the only difference between the emitter and the collector, which would be the drain and the source, is you're not going to have out of limits. You're going to have, in both directions on a JFET, you're going to have current flow, so you're going to have voltage. It's going to give you a voltage reading of on the ones that I tested on my board, on my wiper motor module board. I had about 0.7 in one direction, and I switched the leads at about 1.2 volts in the other direction. So just keep that in mind. If you want, instead of having a regular multimeter and setting it on the diode tester, they do have some fairly reasonable. About $20 or $30 you could buy a meter, and it tests transistors, diodes, capacitors, resistors, and I'll try to post some links to those so you could take a look at that if you're interested in one of those. Alright, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you.